First time you play a game, you should try to lose. Maybe not exactly, but you'll see what I mean. So I've taught games hundreds of times in my life, probably maybe over 1,000 now, maybe. I've taught a lot of games because I like to play games with people, and I'm frequently the one getting people together for it. But I also make my own games, and so I have to teach people the games that I make every time that we play them. Every time I play with somebody who hasn't played before, or even if it's like I had a set of rules and now the rules changed, I need to kind of reteach them, right? I go to conferences and things like that where I have to teach the game kind of over and over and over dozens of times in succession. And I've noticed this thing that people do naturally the first time that they play the first game that is really a point of failure that's almost guaranteed to make them have a bad time, which is that they try to do two things at once. They try to learn the game while also trying to win the game, while trying to make smart moves, while trying to big brain it, while trying to kind of put the pieces together in this really smart way and understand all the decisions that they're going to make such that they can win the game while learning it. This leads to catastrophic failure in my experience, because you're trying to do two different things at once. Like learning a game is cognitively demanding. Like learning a game, even if it's not that hard of a game, just like reading the rules or listening to the rules, internalizing them, remembering them, committing them to memory, making them so that they're intuitive to them, so that you can play with them later on and make good decisions later on. That's a cognitively taxing task. I didn't really mean to do that, but it's fine. Taxing task. Uh, the problem is that also playing any game, even one that's not that hard, can be cognitively difficult as well. So like making good decisions. Any game that's kind of worth its salt is going to have some sort of cognitively difficult thing for you to do, to wrap your head around, to try to predict the future, try to understand the consequences of your actions. And that's what playing a game is. It can be very cognitively difficult. So trying to do those two things at the same time is like very, very difficult. It's a really, really hard task, and it can slow things down. It also, I think, trying to win the game on the first time you play it, you just don't have enough information to actually be making good decisions. So I've had this experience a bunch of times where I'm trying to teach my game to somebody and they want to do a good job immediately. And so they start learning the game. I explain the rules. They pull out their cards. They read their cards really carefully, and they immediately start agonizing over the very first things that they're going to do in the game. And this can be incredibly frustrating for them and for the people who they're playing with, because the thing is that they don't actually know really how these cards work in coordination with each other. They don't really understand the shape of the game, the beginning, middle, and end of the game. They don't understand necessarily the consequences of the cards that they're playing. They don't understand what cards their opponent might have, which might or might not counter them. And so they're sort of shooting in the dark, and what they're really doing is they're agonizing in the dark, and they take a really long time to take their turn, and they eventually take it, and they probably didn't actually do something smart because they don't know the game very well yet. And God forbid you have two or three of these people all in one game together, and they're all agonizing together, and the game ends up taking two or three times longer than your expected game length, and people aren't even making good decisions. And so maybe this even leaves a bad taste in their mouth later on, where they say, yeah, that game, it's a game, it takes like it took me hours. It didn't take 40 minutes. It took hours to play. And all of us had a bad time because all of us were playing badly. And this leaves a really terrible experience for them. So the way that I like to teach games is, first of all, like one really practical thing is making sure people are really clear on the objective, really clear on like, who am I and what am I doing as a player? You are in this world, you are attempting to gain the most gold. The person with the most gold at the end of the game wins. Work backwards from there. So when teaching a game, always really helpful to like keep the objective really clear in mind. Like you are trying to gather victory points. There are three ways to do that. We'll go over those in detail later on. That's one really basic thing that I find really helps with people. But beyond that, I think it's actually really important to teach people in a way where it is very safe and expected for them to lose in their first game. Don't try to win on the first game. Why do I say this? Well, a game is really a system of inputs and outputs. It's a dynamic, interactive system, right? And so you as a player do stuff, and then the game spits out some output. And your goal the first time you play it is to understand kind of the shape of that machine, to understand in broad strokes, like what does this machine want me to do? What does this machine not want me to do? What are the types of inputs I can put in? What are the types of outputs I can put in? What are the basic dynamics at play here? And so every time the game gives you an option to do something, to say like, hey, on your turn, you may do this or you may do this. You want to try both. Try basically everything the game allows you to do. I always tell people when we start playing, I'm like, just start playing cards and you'll see, right? So don't agonize over the cards. Just pick one. We're not trying to win here, right? So play this card. Oh, interesting. Okay, so you know that card has no effect because actually your opponent already played the counter to it. Now from this kind of like lived experience, you have understood one of the basic counters in the game. Haha, it doesn't matter that you can't play your card because we're not trying to win here. We're just trying to kind of move along so you can see in broad strokes what is available to you in this game. You're trying out everything that's possible to you. If there's resources in the game, I often am very stingy with resources. If the game gives me something that I can use later, I'll often be really, really stingy where I don't use it immediately because I keep on saying, yeah, what if I need this for something more important later? What if I need this? And I end up stockpiling things that I never use. It's a very bad habit that I have as a player. Go ahead and blow your resources. Spend them recklessly. Be reckless. Be aggressive. Be stupid. You're allowed to do stupid stuff because you're not trying to win. In fact, try to lose. Try to do something that seems ill-advised. Find out, does the game punish you? Is this the type of game that will really punish you hard for doing that? Or does it reward you in some way or give you a safety net for being reckless and stupid? Try to lose. Try to be reckless. Experience everything that the game allows you to do, even the ways that the game allows you to fail, because right now you're just gathering information for the future, for next game, when you will then have a much kind of bigger, robust, and more complete picture of what the bounds of this machine are. What kind of inputs can you put in? What kind of outputs can come out? The last thing I'll say about this, I think is really interesting, is one time when I was at this conference in New York a few months ago, this young woman came up and said, hey, I'd love to learn your game. And she immediately, when she got her hand, she just put it all face up. She immediately said, I want to play open-handed. And I had never seen that before, but it's so smart. And it gets at the same thing, that she was like, I don't care about trying to win. I'm trying to understand, like, what is the shape of this game? And so she sat down and she's like, here's my cards. You tell me what you would do. And it kind of explain your rationale behind it. Because obviously I've played my own game so many times that I could quickly communicate. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I'd probably put a water card over here. I'd probably put a fire card over here. I'd probably do this. And I was able to basically almost play her hand for her and show her in real time, like, here's what I'm doing. And because winning was off the table, it was really easy for us to just clearly communicate. And we like walked through kind of a fake game in about 10 minutes. And she was like, oh, got it. And then played a real game immediately after that. This allows you to just basically blitz through a game and understand in broad strokes what the game is about, what the shape of this, interactive system is, and get through something in a fun and sometimes funny way of like, haha, we're all intentionally trying to lose. No one cares about winning. We're all just exploring together. And in a much shorter amount of time, you're able to kind of get your head around what this game is and make it a lot more fun for the future. So that's how I like to teach games. If you have any other tips, let me know.